Let's go.
Take those pills. Take those pills. Hey, here you go. Itching, sweating, take those pills. Thirsty, drowsy, take those pills. Worms, take those pills. I think you should take it. Oh. Itching, sweating, take those pills. Thirsty, drowsy, take those pills. Worms, take those pills. I think you should take it. Oh. Itching, sweating, take those pills. Thirsty, drowsy, take those pills. Worms, take those pills. Itchy all day. Here you go.
Let's go.
Hello, hello! I have returned from vacation with family and them coming over and a job and people and things and stuff. Anyway, I'm back. I apologize for the long hiatus. Things have been a little crazy in my life. I know now I might be a little late to the party, but something must be done about this whole VidCon business. A video or response must be fabricated, but the subject, who could it be? The alpha cunt herself, Anita Sarkeesian. No, that's what they'd expect. We don't need any more takes from her. What about Sargon and Chris Reagan and the Warskis and all that? The shitlords themselves at VidCon. No, we need something a little more off the beaten path. We need something a little less expected. I never thought I'd see the day. I don't think you thought you'd see the day either. I suppose walking into this kind of territory, I should expect quite the response myself. Boogie2988. I don't watch him myself, I don't keep up with him too much at all, but what I do know about him is that he is very sweet and very kind. That he's a nice person. And good for him. Boogie, you see, is almost universally loved. He's a jolly fat man, makes people smile, he's happy. An entertainer, some might say, of the highest of calibers. So many admirable things can be said about Boogie, and yet, here I am. I expect that this video will be disliked by many. Perhaps in the same way how his video was disliked by so many as well. When I first saw this video, I was a little confused. Why does a Boogie video have so many dislikes? What could someone have done who is normally so nice and so wonderful and so caring about other people? What could he have said? What could he have done to draw the ire of so many people? Or at least to draw their dislike of the video? So I watched it, and here we are. Oh yeah, that's right, never mind. I only go after the small channels, I've been told. Well, call me a rebel. But this Boogie2988 video does, in a way, lay a wonderful groundwork for me to make my own VidCon video of sorts. I didn't want to miss the opportunity, and I had things to say myself. And now that my life has calmed down and I can devote all my time to this again, let us get started.
Hey guys, this is going to be very different than my normal videos. Normally when I get home from VidCon, I just edit all the cool footage that I had and just make a very positive video. This video is not going to be as positive, but I really feel like I need to make it because there's some rumors floating around, and I've seen those rumors. I've seen a 4chan that are about it today, and I want to make sure that I get out ahead of those rumors and make sure that I control this message before you hear about it from somebody else.
A wise move. Especially in order to protect one's reputation against those that would attempt to sully it. People like, well, Anita Sarkeesian. Even other feminists are considered persona non grata because they're bullied by Anita Sarkeesian in feminist frequency. Anita has influence, she has power, she has sway in the industry. YouTuber Liana K talks about this for a while in one of her videos that I suggest you watch if you want more information regarding feminist frequency and how Anita goes about treating other people.
I think it was a gaffe. She is not good off script. And I'm going to be brutal here, but at the end, I'm going to say, I'm saying this because I'm concerned on multiple levels. This is coming from a good place. So you feminist frequency people out there who have engaged in your own harassment against me, who have gotten me blacklisted in this industry, who have basically made people afraid to support me because it crosses your ire, and they don't want that. They don't want the trouble of treating me like a human being because you have sent up the flares in this damn industry that anybody opposes you is subhuman and bad for women. So if you think his behavior is bad, you better look in the damn mirror and check yourself, because you are guilty of everything that you accuse them of. The problem is you are more effective at what you do. You actually cause people to be shunned in this industry. People deny me interviews and don't want me covering their product because I am anti-feminist frequency. Not because people who think you're right, but because they're afraid Okay, everybody is afraid of getting spanked by the feminist frequency paddle because that is a rallying cry to the Twitter mobs. Think about that. Think about how you feel right now.
You have every reason to be concerned about your reputation, Boogie. Anita is a destroyer of reputations in this industry.
If this doesn't come across like one of my normal videos, it's because I'm very, very anxious. I'm very anxious after what happened. I've been anxious about what happened 3 months before it happened. I've been anxious ever since. So
Then months in advance, red flags should have shot up for you, Boogie. How strange that a woman who is sitting on an anti-harassment panel is causing you so much emotional grief. One would think, would they not, that such a person would be nothing but supportive of you.
this is going to be a very hard video to make, but I do think it's important.
And unfortunately, Boogie, I think that you wouldn't have made this video if you weren't the only one sitting in that room.
I've gone to VidCon for 4 years in a row, and I've done panels and signings, and I've met a bunch of different people, and it's one of the best experiences of my life. This year's VidCon was a little bit different because I went into it very, very nervous.
Well, that's what happens when you put bullies on anti-harassment panels. Good job, VidCon.
I was a little bit of social anxiety, and that social anxiety got worse because some altercations were happening between the crowds and security, so that made me very nervous. But what made me more nervous is one of my panels ending cyberbullying and then one of my fellow panelists. I always do one of these cyberbullying panels each time if they ask me because I think I have some really good stories. You know, I don't get upset about the jokes. I don't get upset about the memes. I don't get upset about the critical comments, critical videos people make about me.
And you know what? Good for you, Boogie, and neither do I, and I think a lot of people are exactly the same way. The thing is, when someone sends you a meme or a picture or a message on the internet, it's so impersonal. It's so anonymous. You don't know who this person is. You don't know who this man or woman is that's sending you these messages. It's easy to shrug it off. It's easy to act like it's nothing. The problem, Boogie, as you realized, I'm certain, is when you're face to face with the bullies and you can see them and stare into their eyes. When you can't just close a window or walk away from the computer and your problems are solved.
What I do get upset about and what I do consider to be cyberbullying is things like death threats or getting doxxed or having your information leaked or getting your stuff hacked and deleted like happened to me at VidCon last year.
Yes, these things are actual cyberbullying. These are the things that are real problems that no one should do.
Or, you know, the time people sent a box of shit to my front door, or even the time where someone legitimately tried to hire an assassin on the Tor network to assassinate me. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about, and I think it's important to go to these cyberbullying panels and let people know that that's what I've endured and that they could have it as bad as well, and then help them find the tools to how to defeat and defend themselves from that kind of thing.
Absolutely. This isn't a gendered issue. It never was. Harassment happens to everyone. Actual harassment, actual cyberbullying. De-gendering this issue is one of the first steps to addressing it properly, not splitting it up and creating division.
And doing a panel like that, I've done hundreds of panels now at this point, and I'm very comfortable doing it, and I'm comfortable talking about the topic. But what made me nervous about this is when I discovered that one of my panelists was a notable feminist by the name of Anita Sarkeesian.
Again, somebody on an anti-harassment panel is making you nervous. Let that sink in for a moment. Think about how she's the one who constantly tries to play the victim.
And I was just afraid that we would clash there. I was afraid that I would do something or say something that would upset her.
Why? This is your problem, Boogie. You're too nice. Your spine's made of jelly and jam. You're the emotional equivalent of a cuckold. You're too soft. You're too easy to manipulate. You are literally the kind of person that says, well, gosh, this person is intimidating me, making me feel nervous. Oh, but I wouldn't want to offend my bully. We couldn't have that, could we? I wouldn't want the person bullying me to get upset.
You know, we philosophically disagree in some small areas, but
it is legitimately depressing to me that you only consider yourself to have small philosophical disagreements with a snake like Anita Sarkeesian. She is a liar by her own words captured on camera. This is all a ploy. It is all a social justice plot. It was never about video games, in her words. It's hard not to find. Even this Mashable article written by Rebecca Ruiz, this fucking article is cancerous, by the way. Anita Sarkeesian is the feminist video game heroine we all deserved. Donald Trump is literally Hitler. And Gamergate was, quote, an online campaign that trafficked in sexism while drawing cover by insisting it was about gaming journalism ethics. His article's so bad it almost deserves its own video. But even here, Anita's defenders here will say, remember, even her defenders will say, it was never about video games. It's always about social justice. It's always been using feminism to talk about these things. And when you keep those words of her in mind, it's easy to see why she has drawn so much ire and how easy it is for a bully like Anita Sarkeesian to take identity politics to the next step, decrying male gamers, hell, gamers as a whole, as misogynists, abusers. She talks about toxic masculinity. She cherry picks her examples. She goes out of her way to mislead and misrepresent her examples. She is a manipulative con artist, Boogie. Do not you dare give her an inch.
In general, we have some of the same ideas, and I think we want some of the same goals.
Again, this is very troublesome to hear from you, Boogie. I don't know what goal she has that you would want. I don't think there's a genuine bone in her body, and I don't think that what she says are her goals really are the end game that she's playing at, or her idea of ending harassment is something draconian that you would not like at all. Straight from the wank stain on the underbelly of games journalism, this article, written on Polygon by Colin Campbell, called Anita Sarkeesian's Astounding Garbage Human Moment, Feminist Speaker Hits Back at Trolls and Haters. And how detached from reality do you have to be to come away with that take on what happened at VidCon? Anyway, Colin Campbell's a piece of trash. Anyway, the article goes on, and I'll link it in the description. If you just hate your life, you can read it if you want. In this article, Anita has a lot of things to say about the people sitting quietly in the front row at a public event that they paid money to go to, but something she said should really make a lot of people wary about her end goals. Anita says it's critical that events like VidCon recognize that and implement policies that prevent that toxicity from bleeding over into the event. No YouTube creator who makes videos that serve to target and harass individuals should be allowed to attend, and anyone who uses material filmed at a convention to harass individuals should be blacklisted from future events. She's obviously referring to a number of people like Sargon, Chris Raygun, the Warskis, Computing Forever. She wants them to be blacklisted. She doesn't want them to even be able to attend VidCon. She is an authoritarian. It is her nature to manipulate, to control. These people sat in the front row to listen to her at a public event that they paid a great deal of money for. They sat there quietly to listen to her, but their existence was enough to be considered harassment. And if this is a person who can consider you just sitting there, your existence, to be harassment, then she is giving the authority to have anything be grounds to have you blacklisted. It is not hyperbolic to estimate that it is her intention to have anyone who has criticized her in the past, who has made videos targeting her for a response, who have disagreed with her. She wants to have them blacklisted from attending VidCon. That is her end goal, Boogie. Is that one of her goals that you share? Are you sympathetic with her cause? Is this one of your tiny philosophical disagreements you have with this atrocious snake of a con artist? You know you would be on that list, Boogie. You know you would be on that list. And it's not just Anita. There are lots of people in this industry who want to have developers censored and blacklisted. Openly calling, let's say you support Gamergate. Well, publishers shouldn't publish your game. You should be attacked. Your income should be attacked. You shouldn't even be given the chance to fund your project that you want. There are people out there like this, Boogie. This is the stuff that Anita wants. Is this your little philosophical disagreement? Oh, but you wouldn't want to hurt her feelings, Boogie. We couldn't have that happen.
So I thought it would be okay. I didn't want to cancel the panel or anything like that.
Gosh, how brave of you.
But I certainly didn't want to step on her toes or upset her in any way.
And there it goes. We wouldn't want to step on Anita's toes. I mean, she's such a nice, kind, caring person.
It was incredible, and it was very hard to keep together. But we listened to this panel, and Anita spoke, and they were asking about, why is it important to still have women talking about sexism or some victim bullshit in video games? And very quickly, she came out with because of, you know, some big harasser of mine is in the audience and she was talking about Sargon, and it was like, whoa, you know, it's like she's reacted now, because we were like, what's she gonna do? Is she gonna leave? Is she gonna walk out? All we wanted to do was sit there. We wanted to see if she would engage with us. We just wanted to sit there, and she did. I mean, she said, she called Carl, then later she called him a garbage human.
If you Google my name on YouTube, you get shitheads like this dude who are making these dumbass videos that just say the same shit over and over again. And like, I hate to give you attention because you're a garbage human. Whatever, dude. But it's, you know, like the fact that these dudes are making endless videos that just go after every feminist over and over and over again, I think is a part of the issue of why we have to have these conversations. We don't just get to be online.
As you can hear, just watching that again, as you can hear, she calls him a shithead, right? And then she calls him human garbage.
I mean, what a victim, am I right? What a poor, harassed victim she is.
And when I say I worried about this panel, I mean I've worried about it every single day for the last 6 weeks. I would go over with my wife over and over again the points that I wanted to make on the panel. I would run it over with my friends. Even right up to the panel, I ran it by a fellow panelist. I ran it by the moderator, and they all said that they thought it sounded good, that it wasn't offensive, that it wasn't hurtful in any way.
Man, I cannot imagine what it must be like to live your life like this.
I wanted to make sure that whatever I said there still made the points that are important to me, but would not be considered to be an attack or inflammatory or upsetting in any way to any other panelists or anybody in the audience or anybody watching at home.
And I guess we're going to hear how well that worked out for you, huh?
And when it came to Anita, I specifically did not want to upset her.
Well, yeah, because you're a coward, Boogie. And I know a lot of people are going to get upset that I said it. And I know a lot of people aren't going to like it that I called Boogie a coward. But I'm just going off of what I am seeing here. I'm going off what he's saying himself. He is afraid of saying the things that should be said, the things that he feels, the things he wants to say, because he doesn't want to upset somebody else. Not because he doesn't want to hurt their feelings, but because he's afraid of what might happen to him. He is afraid that there might be confrontation. What's even worse, he's afraid because he might be put into a situation where he has to, God forbid, defend himself.
And I was very, very worried that because of my Francis videos and because of some of the stupid things I said in the past, she might have some preconceived notions about me.
Boogie, if you said anything in the past that she doesn't like, chances are that is the exact right thing to say. Remember, this is the person who said everything is sexist, everything is racist, everything is homophobic, and you have to point it all out.
She might have some misconceptions about me and like be preemptively ready to be frustrated or irritated by me. I was even afraid that at one point she might cancel the panel if she knew who I was.
Well, which is it? Up until this point, you've been saying how afraid and anxious you were because you had to actually do the panel with Anita. Now you're saying you are afraid that she would cancel it. Which one is it? Are you just damned if you do, damned if you don't? Are you just going to be afraid no matter what happens?
You know, because a lot of people confuse me as being very right or maybe alt-right, when in reality, I consider myself to be a moderate.
No, Boogie. A lot of people don't accuse you of being alt-right. Some vocal, tiny, angry people call you alt-right because because you maybe disagree with them or because you don't see things exactly like they do. They call everybody alt-right. They call everybody sexist and racist and misogynist, and they call everybody alt-right and ultra-conservative. No, Boogie, a lot of people don't call you alt-right. Do not blow these people out of proportion.
Who leans fairly left. And unfortunately, on the first day of VidCon, something happened that made my anxiety go almost completely out of control.
Your worst fears were realized, and she canceled the panel and then reinstated it?
During Anita's first panel called Women on Gaming, that panel went very, very wrong, with some people attacking them during the Q&A section.
Wow, Boogie. Wow, this is the part where I start to get a little irate. Really, Boogie? That's how you characterize that? They have the first Q&A session that they've basically ever had, the first time for Anita to be in public and to have people ask her questions, because she is famous for dodging any actual criticism, right? They finally have a Q&A session, and people ask them extremely fair questions, people like Joey Salads.
Why do you guys act like only women face harassment online? Constantly feed the trolls. And look, the majority of the people here are the trolls because they like to see you freak out about it. That's exactly what you guys are doing. You're
I mean, even your language, like freak out about, like no.
See, you're just mocking.
If you talk about one community facing harassment, that's not to say that no other communities face any harassment.
See, you're harassing me right now when I'm.
Can we please remove this question off
It goes both ways. Now look,
Next question, please. I'm answering.
Next question, please.
The various things that you've said online over the past few years, do you truly believe them?
Okay, dude.
All right, can we please remove him from the question line?
You know, Boogie, I just fail to feel sympathy for Anita and people like that. They are attackers, bulliers, they are the worst kind of person. They will try to use your guilt as a weapon against you, just like they did to you, Boogie. That's what they do. They attack people, and you're going to defend them as they sit on that panel, calling people garbage humans and shitheads and kicking them out of lines. Oh, and you're gonna say that they were attacked in the Q&A section. What do you want from her, Boogie? I am convinced you want something from Anita. I'm convinced you want something from these people. Why else would you go through such lengths to defend them? To play into their false victimhood narrative that they spew.
And even during that panel, some people who are sitting right near the front are people she considers to be detractors of hers.
Yeah, you could say there's a lot of those people, Boogie. There's a lot of those people. And have you ever stopped and wondered why so many people hate their guts? Why they hate their arguments? Why they criticize them at every turn? You want to know why there are so many people like me who can look at the things Anita says and find a million things wrong with it? It's almost like if you use identity politics like Anita does to cast gamers as being toxic masculinity this and hateful this, harassment that, and bad this and racist, sexist that. You think if you call people that with no foundation, some might get upset that they're being defamed in that kind of a manner.
And she became so nervous and felt so attacked that she actually called one of those detractors names right to their face. I'm sure you've heard about this controversy. And because of that, I began...
Sargon of Akkad. I will say the name since you don't wish to.
To be very afraid that if she disagreed with me, she might do the same during our panel, making me feel very uncomfortable and making the audience feel very uncomfortable.
Dear God, no. You might get called a name by a bully? Gosh, I hope you would be able to handle that, Boogie. But me being an asshole aside, when Boogie says these things, I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that he is being completely 100% genuine. Perhaps that's what worries me about it. The fact that Boogie, one of the sweetest, perhaps too sweet for his own good as we're seeing, one of the sweetest, kindest people on the entire internet, something I legitimately do respect him for to a point, he is worried at this level of being harassed and called names and bullied. Not by someone in the audience, not by some randy hater on the internet, but by arguably the lead panelist on an anti-harassment panel. And we know that the Vlog brothers, the Vlog, whoever, Hank and John Green, the people who organize this whole schmagagel, and when this is the way that Anita treats fellow panelists and quiet, paying audience members who travel from the other side of the world, basically, to come to VidCon and are treated this way, well, I guess they just don't mind. I mean, it's Anita Sarkeesian. We would dare not subject her to the same rules that other people have to abide. We dare not hold her up to the standard that she sets for others. We're just so fucking woke that there's no way we would ever treat a feminist the same way that we would treat a normal human being. Fun fact, Hank Green tweeted out VidCon's statement regarding two popular creators and harassment, and it's pretty fucking awful. The VidCon debrief. Our founder, Hank Green, talked with our panelist and said two things. Two, he apologized to her. Anita got an apology. Can you fucking imagine that? Can you wrap your head around that bullshit? And remember, by their own admission, she did break VidCon policy. Hank Green himself said on Twitter, many people who violated policy at VidCon have been given second chances. We do that on a case-by-case basis. He talks about, oh, there's such a broad context that we have to keep in mind for all of our rules because, well, fuck, Hank, why have rules at all? If you're not going to have rules, okay. If you're going to have rules, you have to apply them to everybody. Anita doesn't get a magical special pass because she's a... No, wait, she does. Because you're Hank Green and you're so fucking woke, you dare not hold Anita Sarkeesian, the saint herself, accountable. Imagine you flew across the planet to go to VidCon. You paid all this money for the ticket and the plane and the hotel and all this. You flew into VidCon. You sat down at a public panel and you just watched. And one of the panelists, remember on an anti-harassment panel, said these things to you, called you a shithead, a garbage human. And then the founders of the event go and apologize to her because you, as a paying guest, a paying customer who crossed the globe to get here, had the balls, the audacity, the gall to just sit quietly in the front row. Bravo, Hank. Bravo. You're really making content creators feel welcome and loved, aren't you? But thanks for letting the whole world also know that, well, VidCon is for a certain kind of content creator. It's for a certain kind of person. It's not for everybody. It's not for opposing ideas. It's not for debate or discussion. There's a special kind of person and a special kind of content that VidCon is made for. And if you don't fit the bill, well, fuck you.
And that's definitely not something I could handle. And my anxiety got so bad that really up to about an hour before the panel, I had every intention of canceling on them. But I really don't like upsetting the VidCon team.
I have to be fair to you, Boogie. That does take a certain level of bravery for you to do, despite my overall feelings on you. Doing what you think should be done despite your fear, that is bravery. Even though you put yourself in a position to be brave when you shouldn't have really, so you kind of set one up for yourself, granted, but good on you for sticking through and at least doing it. As for the VidCon staff, specifically the Vlog Brothers, they can go and fuck themselves. Hell, knowing them, they'll probably apologize to me for that comment.
And I didn't want to have to try to explain all of that to them, the reason I was canceling, but why I would be doing everything else I did that day. And I also thought that could be perceived as an attack.
Guys, stop caring about what Anita perceives as an attack or not. She herself said that just Sargon showing up was an act of intimidation and threatening harassment. You can't please these people, Boogie. Stop trying to. Stand up for yourself, Boogie. Come on. People look up to you as an example. In many ways, rightfully so, you're an example to set. But you have to stand up for yourself. You have to show people you will not be silenced and intimidated by bullies.
And I just wanted to do the panel, and I just wanted to hope for the best and hope that everything worked out. My anxiety got the best of me, and just about every YouTuber I know, and even some of my fans, and even a fellow panelist that I got to spend some time with, and even the moderator for the panel, I ran by all of my talking points and asked, do you think this is something that would be offensive? Do you think this is something that would upset Anita or anybody else in the audience? I wanted to make sure to get this right, and I practiced, and I practiced, and I practiced, and I practiced, and I practiced.
But did you say how you really felt? Did you say what you know needed to be said? Or did you skirt around the truth? Did you maybe not say everything that needed to be said about Anita and the panel and the way she treats people and the hypocrisy of the situation? Did you not say those things because you were afraid of how she might attack you or come after you?
When I got to the green room for the panel, Anita was there, and I finally worked up the courage to introduce myself and let her know that I do like her Feminist Frequency series, that I find it challenging.
Ugh, why, Boogie? What about Feminist Frequency's videos make any semblance of sense? What about those videos do you like? I'm shocked. I'm shocked anybody could watch them who has half a brain and think, you know, these are full of good points. These totally aren't misrepresentations and cherry picking across the board. Oh my God, Boogie. Ugh, reputation -10.
And I like to have my misconceptions challenged. And
Wait, what misconceptions, Boogie, did you have that Feminist Frequency cleared up for you? No, I shudder to know. Don't answer that. Don't depress me further, Boogie.
And that while I didn't always agree with her, I appreciated her making it and tried to let her know that she was safe around me and everything was going to be fine.
Boogie, God, no, why are you saying this? Why are you going up to Anita Sarkeesian, the queen of bullies on the internet, and you're saying, you can feel safe around me, Mrs. Bully, you don't have to worry about me. I specifically made sure that my speech and my part at this panel for harassment or whatever the hell we're talking about, I made sure it specifically wouldn't upset you, Mrs. Bully. Please be nice to me. Also, you don't have anything to fear from me. I'm totally a nice guy. I'm great. Look, Boogie, I like you. I really, really, really want to like you more, but fuck, there was a line between trying to build bridges here and be nice and just being a fucking beta cuck.
I tried to be friendly, and, you know, she was fairly friendly back, though very reserved, which is understandable because she was having a pretty shit weekend.
Yeah, because she understood she might actually have to, God forbid, address some criticism. There's no block button in the real world. I guess, hey, you get out of line makes a nice substitute, doesn't it?
And I personally think the panel went very well. You know, I got to make all of the major points that I wanted to make. I felt like every other panelist did too. I was very careful not to bogart the time. I was trying to be very careful to not interrupt anybody else.
Yeah, God forbid Anita says you're mansplaining. Wouldn't want to hurt her feelings, would you?
Though I would offer a follow-up once they were done speaking. I made some of my major points, which was telling the stories of the things that I've endured, how I've learned to deal with it, about how other YouTubers I've spoken to have endured it as well, and how they choose to deal with it. And the tools that are available there for you. And I think Anita got to make most of her points as well throughout most of the panel. I think everybody got a chance to speak and say how they felt and what they thought was best. I think the only thing that could closely represent an attack on Anita is when she said that she hoped that everybody left the panel angry and bitter and ready to fight.
Well, yeah, Anita is an angry and bitter person. She is full of vitriol and cruelty. She is a bully. She would like nothing more than for you and other people to do her dirty work for her, to be part of that mob that actually does harass, that shuts people down, censors others, that bullies them in the industry. This is what she does.
I countered by saying that I personally don't feel those things, and I personally don't choose to do that, and I try to foster a community that's not angry and doesn't fight. I try to foster a community that celebrates beautiful things instead. But I looked directly at her as I said it when I was done, and she seemed comfortable and fine with that answer. Before you knew it, the panel was over, and the moderator said we had about 5 minutes if anybody had any closing statements. So I made a closing statement that it took about a minute to say, and I said that I wanted to remind everybody in the audience that I am a person of privilege.
What?
I am a person of privilege.
Wait, sorry, Boogie. Weren't you, like, literally homeless at one point, and aren't you morbidly obese?
As a white cis male.
Well, that explains a few things, doesn't it, Boogie? Dear God, you have got to get some fucking self-respect, man. I mean, I like you, and I want to like you more, but shit, listen to yourself. Listen to yourself. And listen to how closely you sound like Anita. Now, isn't that interesting? Not a little philosophical disagreement here, I can see. Looks like you're right on board with Anita and the rest of them. There you are, right beside Anita, and Brianna Wu, and all the others, lock and step, marching in tandem beside them. A willing victim of the complex that is identity politics. You feel so bad, and you're such a perfect target, aren't you, Boogie? You're so nice and kind, and you're so beta. You're so ready to let other people take advantage of you. You're the perfect candidate to be infected. It's so easy for a person like you who's so ready to let other people walk all over him because you can attribute that all to your privilege. You've been homeless, Boogie. You've literally been homeless, Boogie. You're morbidly obese. Do you think anyone looks at you and says, gosh, I wish I had all of his privilege. I would totally swap places with that guy. You know, all that privilege of being homeless? It's exactly what Anita and Andy Burkowski and Colin Campbell and all these bullies and these nobodies will say exactly as you have. Identity politics, it is an infection in gaming, and it is an infection of the mind. It makes people like you who are so sweet and kind think so much lesser of yourself, loathe yourself because of what you are. That's what they preach. It's like a religion. It's like a cult. You're white. You're privileged. You're bad. You're straight, so you're bad. You're male, so that's the worst is being male. You don't have male privilege. You don't have white privilege. You don't have straight privilege. I guess in some states you can not get married if you're gay, at least now. I think that's about it, though. Boogie, you're totally in line with this toxic idea that they spew about identity politics. What, you think you got on that panel because you were white and male? You think you have this massive YouTube channel of, what, 4 million subs because you're white and male? Do you think, alternatively, that you were homeless once because you were white and male? Or were all of those things products of you, your choices, your surroundings, the way you used your talents, the way that you made your personality work as an entertainer and as a... Look, Boogie, this is why so many people are so disheartened to hear you say this. Because you talk about how much you don't want to be bullied by her. You talk about how much you don't want her to antagonize you, how much you don't want her to be confrontational with you. But in terms of the philosophy, you and her are identical, Boogie. Anita could have said the exact same words as you, and nobody would have questioned it, because it would have been nothing different than what she normally says. Oh, you're white and male, you've got this magical privilege, and I'm a woman, so I can't do anything, except get away with bullying people publicly in VidCon with no repercussions. Oh, but it's so easy for a person like you, Boogie. It's so easy for a person like you to fall right into their hands. You have no problem being taken advantage of like this. You have no problem letting someone bully you like this. You are pandering to Anita Sarkeesian, Boogie, the queen of bullies, the queen of harassers. It's so easy for someone like you who needs some fucking super male vitality stat. It's so easy for someone like you to say, oh, well, it's okay that they're doing this to me, and I should be quiet about it because I'm a white male, and I've got so much privilege. I shouldn't talk. I shouldn't do anything to make them upset. They're women. They're so underprivileged in today's society for reasons I probably can't name and no one else can name, and legally they have more privileges than men, but I mean, it just makes me feel a certain way about myself. But this is what it does to people. Can't you see? Boogie was traumatized in his past. He has actual problems. He has actual issues. He has things he needs to deal with. And this kind of thing is the kind of person that they prey upon. They have indoctrinated someone who has been abused in the past, who has been homeless on the streets, who's morbidly obese and has all these health problems and stress problems, and they have him convinced that he has privilege, that he should be thankful, and it fucking pisses me off. You're wrong, Boogie. Get it out of your head. Now, the sooner you can let go of this toxic ideology, the better it will be for you, and the better it will be for the people who look up to you. And I guarantee that that number is a lot lesser than it used to be now. Because Boogie, in one very intrinsic and ideological way, you are identical to Anita Sarkeesian. You just don't have the balls.
And then I went over the types of attacks that have happened to me again with the assassins and the boxes of feces and all of that kind of stuff.
Here, tell you what. I'm going to link it in the description below. Boogie's response, his end of the panel, and you can listen to it. And what's so strange is that if I was Boogie, and I had some cojones in me, and I could put two and two together without thinking I'm some sort of a privileged fill-in-the-blank class, if I wasn't infected with the idea of identity politics, I would say, gosh, all of these terrible things have happened to me. That privilege isn't exactly real, is it? I'm not exactly privileged, am I? If I'm having all of these issues, if I've had all my problems from the past, if I have all my health complications, I don't have privilege. My first thought wouldn't be, oh, but it must be so worse for a woman. It must be so worse for a brown person. It's a clip from Sargon's video of what happened at VidCon, and I think it's a fantastic, fantastic video summarizing everything that's happened between VidCon and Anita, Boogie, Hank Green. I highly suggest you watch the whole thing. Grab a drink, it's a long one. In that panel, really quick, I want to bring this up. In that panel, Boogie says, as he talks about white privilege and other such nonsense invented by those types, he says there are other communities who have it worse off than him. It's important to note that black people are not a community. Minorities are not a community. Women are not a community. Straight people are not a community. They are demographics. This is an important distinction to make. It pisses me off all the time when people say things on my behalf from LGBT. Oh, gay people think this. Oh, bisexual people think this. Oh, trans canines think this. Listen, fucker, don't tell me what I think. I will tell you what I think whenever I damn well please. I do not need anyone else, as everyone knows, I do not need anyone else to speak on my behalf. You are not elected to represent anybody. You speak only for yourself. Let's hop back to it. And no, I'm not joking around this video. A lot of this shit has me pissed off. It has me upset, irate, angry, vexed, riled, heated, irritable, whatever other words I can think of. But despite that, it was lock and step in place with something Anita might want to hear, and something she might want to have said on her panel, especially because Boogie was the only male on the panel. One, if they were Anita, or if they were to pretend they were Anita, I could not see how anybody would have a problem with the things that Boogie said. He said all the right things. Women are oppressed, and I'm white and male, so I have privileged, and yada yada, social justice, yada yada. Just something to keep in mind.
And then just try to remind the audience that if, whoever you are, if it can happen to me, it can happen to you.
No, Boogie, the point is not it can happen to everybody because it can happen to you. The point is it can happen to everybody because that's just a dick thing that people do to other people.
And then try to remind everybody that this isn't a matter of identity politics. This is a human rights issue.
Oh, really? It's not an identity politics issue? In the same panel where you say that you're a white male, so you have privilege, but it's not an identity politics issue. Really, but you're gonna have to choose a side, Boogie. Which one do you believe, and which one are you saying because it makes you feel better? Which of those things do you hold true in your heart of hearts, and God bless your heart for all the work it does, and which one of those things do you say because you feel it's the right thing to say for social justice? You can't say you're a white, privileged male, and then say it's not about identity politics.
That I think these types of attacks are human rights violations, and that we should all consider that so that we can be unified against them.
And you're absolutely right. You were right to say that we should degender this issue. Absolutely 100% correct. Horrible things happen to everybody, because white males don't have this magical shield that protects them from things that you seem to think that they do. Especially now that you see the kind of cruelty and harassment that Anita can inflict on other paying guests at a event and venue like VidCon. There's a lot of V's in there. And she can totally get away with it without any repercussions. And she can even be apologized to. Oh, but Anita doesn't have privilege because she's a woman, right? You can't say and make the point that because of identity politics, because you're white and because you're male and because you oppose, apparently you have all this privilege and it happens to you, you can't say that and then in the same breath say, but we have to not use identity politics. Which one is it, Boogie? You're gonna have to make a choice.
A couple more panelists had their closing arguments, and then we left the stage, and I'm shaking, very, very nervous, but I felt like it went well, and when I get off of the stage at the bottom of the panels, there's Anita, and she seemed to be very, very upset.
Well, God forbid, Boogie, whatever for. I mean, you were such a good boy to Anita. You went through all this work and hassle and trouble to make sure you didn't upset the bully. You went out of your way to not say what was probably truly on your mind because you were afraid of her harassment. But it's almost, Boogie, it's almost like you cannot please these people. It's almost sounds to me like pandering to them is useless. Because no matter what you do, they will find some way to use it against you. They'll find some way to have an issue with it. Because you're so easy to make an example out of, Boogie. Because you're so spineless. And it just says so much about the character of Anita that she could do something to someone who's so sweet and kind as you are.
And I don't remember exactly what she said. I'm paraphrasing here, but she said in a very upset that I think it was very fucking uncool that you said what you said there at the end.
Yeah, Boogie, I'm Anita Sarkeesian. I make money dividing gamers. I make money tearing people apart. I make money making rifts in communities. How dare you try to unify them?
Knowing that no one else would have enough time to respond. And I bet you can imagine how that affected my anxiety, because the exact focal point of my anxiety for the entire weekend, in fact, for the last 6 weeks, the nightmare scenario that I was terrified of actually had come true. I had upset somebody who I very, very much had tried to not upset and did not want to upset.
Well, I hope we can chalk this one down to lesson learned, Boogie. You can't pander to people like Anita. It's useless.
And that's the event that everybody's asking me about, and they're wondering if that's true, and that is true. But that's not the only thing that happened. There's a little bit more to the story that I think it's important that you hear, and that's why I'm making this video. Once Anita had realized how nervous I was, she actually took a step back and quickly composed herself, and I asked her for an opportunity to explain myself and explain my point of view, which she was more than glad to do. She invited me back to the green room where we sat and talked for about 15 minutes. She explained her side of things. I explained my side of things. And while I don't think she agreed with me at the end, she was very willing to listen. And her case was pretty simple. She felt that she didn't get a chance to respond and that she wasn't going to have enough time to respond, and that the thing that I said was very, very heavily weighted, and that she wanted to make sure that I knew that some people actually use that exact same argument to separate people rather than unify them, and that she did not feel it was a message of unity, and she was actually afraid that I was doing that on purpose, to try to take away from some of the things that she'd said during the panel.
Yep, making a lot of sense right now, Boogie. It's all coming together. I mean, look, I said something that was basically in no sense of the word controversial, really. I mean, the white male thing, sure. But unity, and it's not about men and women, it's about gamers, it's about people, it's about human rights, it's about how we all have to come together, and she thinks that's anti-unity. She thinks that's divisive. And she says that's a fucking uncool, to your face, to Boogie's face, to Boogie's sweet, big, fat face, the kindest, nicest, jolliest person I could think of. Poor Boogie. What must it be like to have someone like Anita, so full of cruelty and malice, say that to Boogie's face, and he gets on a video on his channel in the privacy of his own home, and he tries to white knight for her? Boogie, step back. Look at what this woman is doing to you. You're defending your bully, Boogie. Oh yeah, we sat down and we talked about it, and she was so nice to listen to me. And this person came up to me after this panel, after the things that I said that were so kind and unifying, and she said awful things to my face in private. And yeah, that's all true, but guys, you don't know the whole story because we talked a little bit. She actually listened to me. So it's all good, don't worry about it. It's just, come on, guys. Yeah, she made me sick to my stomach with nervousness, and I censored myself probably so I wouldn't upset her feelings, and I did so much to pander to her, and I told her that she didn't have to worry about a person like me, and this is how she treats me, but God, it's fine. Don't worry about it. It's all right. After all, think of all the privilege that I have.
The only thing that she said to me that upset me at all as we talked to her past that point was she said that, even though I'm a white cis male, because of my size and my obesity, that's probably why I get a lot of that hate, and I should not phrase this kind of thing as a white cis male. I should phrase it as an obese person.
Yeah, that would probably make more sense, Boogie, because like being as incredibly unhealthy as you are, it's an actual problem. Like that's what worries me so much about you being in the shape that you're in, is because it's like any day you could just die of a heart attack, and I don't want that to happen. I'm almost getting flustered thinking about how horrible that would be. People don't want to see you go, Boogie. You're an entertainer and you're a wonderful person, really. You really are a wonderful person. People don't want to see you die early. Boogie, the world will be lesser after you die. You need to understand that.
And that's why I get the hate, and I don't necessarily agree, because I would think that me being a white cis male is way more important than me being morbidly obese. Because obviously I'm supposed to come from a place of privilege. So
yeah, Boogie, but I mean, it's almost like that whole idea is a crock of bullshit.
So that privilege should certainly be able to overcome me just being fat. And she was surprisingly willing to listen to my point of view, and while I don't think she agreed with most of the things I said, she was willing to listen to my stories and listen to the things that have happened to me in the past and hear my point of view, and she never attacked me further past that point.
Oh, if it wasn't past that point, then that's okay then. I mean, all the other attacks were fine, I guess.
She didn't have another derogatory thing to say.
Yeah, maybe she had gotten that out of her system, or she used it on Sargon or something.
We actually just sat and debated for 15 minutes and shared each other's point of view, and I thought that was really actually kind of nice. And then after we talked for a little while, she let me know that she had other things to do, and I had other things to do too. I had a creator keynote speech in front of 1,000 people like 20 minutes after our conversation.
Well, gosh, Boogie, what a nice person Anita is. What a wonderful, lovely person Anita Sarkeesian is. But wow, that is, I'm changed after hearing that. I mean, despite everything else, after hearing you defend her like that and tell us how she was just so civil and nice with you, like a normal human being for once, God forbid, I'm changed. Holy fuck, man! Listen to yourself. What is going on?
And I politely asked her for her selfie because I had planned to do that from the beginning anyway, and she politely declined.
Wow, dick.
Because she said, I don't really know where you stand on these types of things, and I just don't know if I could trust you not to use that against me, and I think that's very fair.
Oh my God, no, it isn't, Boogie. That's what a dick thing to do. Boogie is asking for a selfie. Who says no to a selfie with Boogie? Not only who says no to a selfie with Boogie, right? Maybe you're in the witness protection program or something. Not only did she say no, she doesn't want to take a picture with you, right? Just a picture with you. She assumes the worst of intentions from you, Boogie. Are the flags not shooting up in your head? I just don't understand how you could think. Boogie, despite all the stuff that you said, Anita thinks the worst of you. She assumes the worst of you. She thinks you're so beneath her. She thinks you're such a bad person. She does not want to be associated with you, cooperating with her. She does not want to be seen in just a snapshot in time, just for a moment, the two of you getting along. That is how vitriolic she is of a person to you. It's one thing if she would have said, no, I don't want to take a selfie. I don't think we're at this point of, not a relationship, but I don't think we know each other well enough. I don't think you and I are really compatible in that kind of way. People might get the impression that we're friends, maybe, but no. She assumes that you will try and use it against her, that even you wanting to take a selfie with her, which is a move of unity, showing her that you want to be friends, showing her that you can cooperate and get along despite your ideological differences or your similarities. She rejects you because she thinks you're the enemy, Boogie. I told you you would be on that blacklist. That's what she thinks of you. She thinks you, of all people, would try and use that against her. That's what kind of a person she is. If someone did that to me, if I was in your place, I would have said, fuck you, Anita. After all of the stuff that we've said, after all the talking that we did, after all of the exchange that we just had, you assume that I'm... Whatever. Let's move on. I'm just shocked that after knowing all of this, you came home, sat in your room, got in front of your webcam and said, you know what? I'm going to defend Anita. She's not all that bad.
And that's pretty much it. That's all that happened. So these rumors, that I got attacked at VidCon, similar to the way Sargon of Akkad did, is, I think, very much blown out of proportion.
Oh, well, okay. Well, if you didn't get attacked at Sargon's level, then it's okay. Don't worry. Don't worry about it. It's way out of proportion. I mean, she just, made me super anxious for months and months, and I was afraid and scared, and I censored myself so I wouldn't upset her and draw her ire, and she called me, and she said it was really fucking cool to my face and in private, but hey, don't worry about it. And she, wouldn't even take a selfie with me because she thought I'd use it against her because she thinks so little of me. But guys, come on. It's okay. It's not as bad as you think. Come on, it's not as bad as you think.
I do think the initial, verbal assault as I came off the stage was a bit of an attack.
Yeah, you could say that.
But she was very, very quick to turn that into conversation, and I think it's important you know that.
Oh yeah, we wouldn't want to walk away with a negative impression of Anita Sarkeesian. Thank you so much for sticking up for her, Boogie. How wonderful of you. Thank goodness we have Boogie, of all people, to defend the honor of Anita Sarkeesian, who totally doesn't deserve any of the ire drawn to her at all.
A lot of you have heard me tweeting about my anxiety over the weekend. A lot of you were very worried when you heard about this stuff, if you were wondering whether it played into it. And yes, it did. I think it was probably the major focal point of my anxiety for the last 6 weeks. And yes, the exact thing I was afraid of actually happened, and that did throw me for a bit of a loop, but I'm now home, and I'm going to go to sleep for the next 20 hours, and at the end of it, I think I'll wake up absolutely fine, so nothing to worry about when it comes to me. And if you're looking to defend me, please do me a favor. Please do not engage with Anita. Please do not throw any hate her way. I genuinely don't think she deserves it for this.
Anita could spit on your face, Boogie, and you would be grateful for the opportunity.
She was having a really, really rough weekend to begin with.
And I wonder why that might be, Boogie. It's almost like she has it coming based on her behavior.
She's getting a lot of hate on social media after the altercation with Sargon.
Yeah, it's almost like she was on an anti-harassment panel, and she harassed someone in the audience who was sitting there quietly, who showed up to listen to her. Boogie, do you not see a pattern emerging here?
And I can only imagine she was very, very much on edge that day.
Well, gosh, I hope that she's okay. I wouldn't want her to be inconvenienced.
And certainly did not know me from Adam, so had no reason to trust me. And so I think she deserves a pass here, and I hope you give her one.
Oh, Boogie, why? Fuck, man, why? What have they done to you? Boogie, she deserves a pass here. Everyone else is saying how disgusting it was what she did to you. And you're like, oh, don't worry about it, guys. I mean, she didn't have any reason to trust me. It's just, human beings being polite to one another. Human beings not thinking the worst of one another. Human beings not assuming in Malafides that everyone is out to get them. Oh, my God. This... I don't know, Boogie. I don't know. I just don't know. What is she gonna have to do to you, Boogie? What is Anita going to have to do to you? What is she going to have to do to other people, despite all that she's done? Wanting the blacklists, getting people's names on... the industry problems, the feminist frequency, the lies, the slander, the attacks, the harassment, the division. Anita is one of the biggest problems in gaming, maybe the biggest problem. And what is she going to have to do, Boogie, to where you'll come out and you'll say that she's not a good person? To where you'll see the things that she does and call her out for what she is. I don't insult Anita. I describe her. Boogie, the things that she does to other people, it's not okay. The things that she does to you, it's not okay. And how you can walk away from this, telling us to give her a pass, and that things are A-okay, I cannot understand. And that bothers me.
So that said, I hope this video puts the rumors to bed before they even get out there. I certainly hope this doesn't serve to signal boost it. In fact,
yeah, Boogie. Yeah, rumors put to bed. Just one more question. How's your wife's boyfriend? Is he okay? Is he doing all right? Things cool between you guys? You guys doing all right?
I hope it does the exact opposite. That gives you guys no reason to talk about it, because there's nothing to talk about, because it's just a very simple thing that was one and done, and I don't want you guys worrying about it.
Boogie, at this point, I worry far more about you than I worry about Anita.
Now, I'm going to take my wife and my dog to bed, and I'm going to go play my Switch until I pass out. And I will see you guys in about 24 hours. Guys, thanks for watching. I love you very much, and I'll speak with you again soon.
There it is. It's done. It's over. Here we are. An hour older, hopefully a bit more wiser and more learned. Here we are, you and I, the people who've made it this far, whatever percentage of the views this video gets. The marathoners, the troopers. Man, I don't know. I just don't know. Look, I know a lot of people are not going to like this video because I'm kind of going after Boogie here, but, man, look, Boogie, I don't watch your stuff. I don't watch a lot of YouTubers, right? It's nothing against you. I'm picky. But you seem like such a sweet guy, and you seem so nice and so kind and caring, to the point where it's become detrimental to you. To the point where it's, I mean, just the things she could do to you and other people, and you're here defending Anita. Let's look at what these comments say in your video. Fuck it, we're doing this bit live. We're doing this bit fucking live. Let's look at the comments here. Top comment, so you're scared to speak your mind because she might bully you. Jesus, dude, you need to be red-pilled. You don't have any privilege for being white or male or heterosexual. Everyone is equal, and you're judged on your ideas. She's such a cunt, dude. Fuck her. We hate her because she's a fucked up person and has shitty ideas, not because she's a woman. Dude, you need some super male vitality stat. Bravo, I used that in the video. Boogie, get a backbone. We are here for you, but you gotta stop with the self-loathing and defending assholes that pretend to be good people. Oh my god, Boogie, what are you doing? I've heard you talk. I see, I fucking lost here. I've heard you talk at your panel, and you've raised some really great points. However, the moment the phrase white cis male that has privilege escaped your mouth, I was stunned. What are you thinking? You're supporting a toxic point of view that's one of the reasons for all the bullying you've talked about. And you're defending the person who bullied you. Anita, of all goddamn people, are you insane? So this big comment. You're acting like a bullied child, sticking up for their bully because you deserved it. Anita Sarkeesian is a lying scam artist who uses identity politics to be able to perpetually play the victim to fill her bank account. Don't cower to a professional victim. You lost me when you consider yourself a white cis privileged member. Being white or cis does not make you immune of abuse or of bullying. God, watching this grown man cowering down to Anita made me want to vomit. Yeah, I agree, it does. Here's another big one. Boogie, I can understand where you're coming from. You want to be kind to everyone and try to see things from their perspective, and that's what I like about you. But you can't pander to Anita. Her and the community that she represents is what's wrong with the left. And no matter how hard you try to act nice to her, she will always find a way to turn herself into the victim and you into the villain. Anita manipulated and lied to get where she is today. And frankly, I don't think she even believes in the causes she claims to represent. Recall that one question from the Q&A? And on the part where you say that you have privilege, you don't have privilege based on your gender or the color of your skin. Your past is more than enough to prove that, and I think you know that. Even now, as one of the most well-known YouTubers on this site, you don't have privilege. You weren't given the platform that you have today. You had to work extraordinarily hard for it. Never forget that. If you say privileged cis white male, you are mentally ill. I'm out. People are downvoting this video because it's so disappointing to see Boogie defend the actions of a bully, even apologizing for being bullied. Stand up for yourself, dude, against bullying. And yes, David, you just gave Anita everything she wanted. Grow a pair. Boogie, I'm tiny compared to you. Not like that. I mean, the channels. I don't know if you'll ever see this. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. I don't know. But you can't let her do this to you, man. You gotta stick up for yourself. You've gotta show some balls. You gotta be a man, Boogie. You can't let yourself be intimidated by people like that. And look, I know you've got problems with stress and all that, but you gotta get over it, man. You've gotta get over it. You've gotta do what you have to do to be brave. You can't let yourself be controlled and manipulated like this. It's not good for you. It's not good for the people who respect you and who listen to you. Hopefully this video was a bit of a wake-up call to you. And hopefully you walk away from this situation with a little more self-respect. Because I like you, Boogie, and I want the best for you. I'm doing this because I want the best for you. So get your shit together, Boogie. Come on. Pick yourself up. Grow a backbone. Be a man. You are worth sticking up for. You're far better than she is, Boogie. Don't you ever forget that. Don't you ever forget that. I'm ordering you to never forget that. That's all I have to say. Thanks for sticking around, and I'll see you guys later.